Stage 11 of the Giro D'Italia began in Campania. It would then take the riders under sunny skies through Puglia, Molise and into Abruzzo, past some of the towns where the race started with its Grande Partenza last year. 207 kilometres, a hilly start, the first half of it with most of the climbing. 1,800 metres in total, but a completely flat last half once they reached the Adriatic coast. Through San Salvo Marina, where Jonathan Milan had won last year. Fossa Cesia, where the race started. Ortona, with Remco Evenepoel having been in pink 12 months ago. But this year, Pogačar hoping to hold on to a pink jersey that he had a very comfortable lead in the day before. On paper, a stage for the sprinters, and you wondered who would go in a breakaway. Would it be the aggressive start that some teams were expecting? Well, the answer was no. Thomas Champion off the front, Edoardo Affini of Visma Lease Bike joining him, and on the day that they lost Kian Uijtdebroeks, unable to start through illness, there was another Visma Lease Bike rider in the race. Half of the remaining four-man team were there. Tim van Dijken up the road as they came over the first and main climb of the day, the only categorised one at Pietra Catella. The peloton following on, but four teams keeping the three breakaway riders in check. Given the quality of the rouleurs, no more than 2.5 minutes were allowed up the road. When it came to the intermediate sprints, Jonathan Milan was looking very strong, extending his lead in the Maglia Ciclamino in the first sprint of the day. The win was a tail crosswind for most of the day, and that was helping good speeds, but it wasn't helping the breakaway to stay away. Into the final 100 kilometres, and already just 1 minute 23 seconds the gap. The gap was well below a minute when we got to the Intergiro. That was won by Caden Groves, with Tim Merlier and Filippo Fiorelli coming behind him. Milan not choosing to sprint at that one. When it came to the final intermediate sprint, the breakaway raised the white flag just before they got there, realising they stood no chance of being allowed to contest the stage. Seconds were on offer at the final sprint, and Geraint Thomas took two of them. Ryan Mullen helping Danny Martinez in second place overall out. His teammate having lost 2 seconds there to Thomas. He reduced the gap to 16 seconds between second and third. 20 Ks to go and a surprise attack from the peloton. Andrea Piccolo was at it again. That provoked a bit of chaos behind and a crash ensued. Felix Großschartner and Kevin Vermaak going down. Piccolo would then be caught, and there were a few worries about the twists and turns into a finish, accompanied by the Giro train. They'd be going like trains when they got to the final few corners. There was a very worrying moment at 4 kilometres to go. A narrowing of the road, 2 right-angle turns, and there was a big fight for it. Ineos Grenadiers won that position. Not too many riders having to take the one way round. Those that did, out of contention. Thankfully, everybody staying up on their bikes to this point, and just outside 3 Ks to go, GC riders could breathe a sigh of relief. Approaching the final kilometre, and having turned 180 degrees from the direction they'd been travelling in most of the day, it was now a head crosswind for the sprint. Riders over to the right-hand side as we looked at it, sheltering as much as they could. But it was a messy sprint, the headwind meaning that everybody was waiting. Bert van Leerberger trying to lead out through the centre for Tim Merlier. He then went across the road, blocking off Sebas Molano. Through the centre, he'd then sprint again, but he would be out-sprinted by Jonathan Milan, who once more was there to take victory. First time in any Grand Tour he's taken more than one stage. Another step forward for Milan, and another hand on the Maglia Ciclamino, and a great defence of his title that's going swimmingly well. Merlier disappointed across the line, and there would be more disappointment afterwards, with the judges ruling that he had deviated too much from his line, and he was therefore relegated. That after complaints visually with the arm up there from Molano, who thought he'd had the door closed. So second place then went to Groves, no doubt about the victor. Milan, the main man, Lidl Trek celebrating again. Milan with Groves into second. Forget about Merlier there. He, of course, relegated. Lonardi finishing third with Pitti and Molano in the top five. Amalia Ciclamino safely on the back of Jonathan Milan, the Italian who won last year, now with a very handsome lead indeed. 229 points for him. Groves in second place. Maglia Rosa, no change there. Tadej Pogacar still leads. There were bonus seconds for Geraint Thomas, however. He still remains in third place. The differences are now as follows. It's 2:40 from Pogacar to Martinez, now 2:56 to Thomas, with Ben O'Connor 2 seconds further from the podium. He is now at 3:39. Stage 12 is the typical Muri Marchigiani stage. A breakaway on paper, but you never know. Promises to be a fight on the flat to get there, then going through towns like Osimo, where we've had Giro stage finishes before. Short, sharp climbs with high gradients that normally alter the rhythm and make racing very attacking indeed. A finishing final in the Marche. Another stage with plenty of distance, 193 kilometres for stage 12, which should be one for the breakaway. And you can watch it live and on demand on Discovery+.